You know about Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons and Michael Taff. This video isn't about them. This video is about three Texas defenders that are flying under the radar that are going to have much bigger roles on this team than you probably think. We've got one upperclassman returning from injury, one transfer, and one youngin' ready for a breakout season. That's coming up. Today's video is brought to you by Audio Visual Consultations, the people to call if you want to upgrade your home TV setup for the upcoming season. More on them in a moment. But let's dive in. And we will start with the upperclassman coming back from injury. That is Derrick Williams Jr. Williams is going into his third year at the University of Texas. He, of course, is coming off that torn ACL that he suffered in the Longhorns' blowout victory over Oklahoma last year. That injury obviously caused him to miss the remainder of the 2024 season, and it caused him to be a very limited participant through the majority of this offseason. Well, he's not a limited participant anymore. Derrick Williams Jr. was one of the standouts from the Longhorns' first fall scrimmage that took place on Saturday. First and foremost, he started that fall scrimmage alongside Jelani McDonald at safety. Michael Taff was actually running at nickel with the number one defense, which tells you a couple of things. Number one, Michael Taff is really versatile. He's really good. We've known that for a while. But number two, it also tells you that Derrick Williams Jr. is too good to leave on the sideline. If he wasn't good or healthy, then Taff probably would have been at safety where he was last year. But if Texas is trying to get its best five in the secondary on the field and trying to get its best 11 on defense on the field all at once, Derrick Williams is going to be out there. He is that good. He apparently had a huge hit in Saturday's scrimmage that caught everyone's attention, where he damn near decleated freshman wide receiver Michael Terry Jr. over the middle. I should say Michael Terry III over the middle. And Terry's a big boy. He's listed at 6'3", about 215 pounds. That is not a small body that Derrick Williams took down. Thankfully, Michael Terry III is okay, but a huge hit that caught everybody's attention on Saturday. And look, honestly, that shouldn't come as much of a surprise. None of this should. Derrick Williams played a lot as a true freshman back in 2023. He appeared in 13 games. He had 42 total tackles that year for Texas. He actually started over Andrew Makuba at the beginning of 2024 before the injury. Think about how good Andrew Makuba was. I mean, he ended up as a second-round pick by the Philadelphia Eagles a few months ago. I think we all expect him to have a really good pro career. Derrick Williams was starting the season ahead of Andrew Makuba on the Longhorns depth chart. That's how good of a player we're talking about here. And he made some things happen last year, too, before he got hurt. He had an interception in that big road win over Michigan in week 2. He forced and recovered a fumble in the win over Oklahoma before he got hurt. And those were the two biggest games of the year to that point in the season. And Derrick Williams Jr. had takeaways in both of them. Safe to say, he is a big game player. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He can move. He can hit. He's got a knack for the football. And man, if he stays healthy, he is going to have a great year for Pete Kwiatkowski's defense. There's a chance Derrick Williams is gone after this year. Remember, he's going into year 3. He'll be draft eligible after the season. It might seem a little far-fetched right now, but if he's able to put it all together and he reaches his full potential, he could be gone after this year, and he could be a relatively high draft pick in the 2026 NFL draft. I don't think that's too far out of the equation with the type of player that Derrick Williams Jr. is. So relearn his name, Longhorn fans. I think everybody knows who he is, but he is going to be an impact player for this defense, and it sounds like he is 100% healthy, which is a damn good thing. Number 2, the transfer. Texas brought in a bunch of them this offseason, and this guy was far from the most talked about, but I expect big things from him this year. That's Brad Spence, who was actually the second portal pickup of the offseason for Texas, which kind of shows you that this is a guy that the coaching staff had its eye on for a long time and a guy that they really wanted. Spence put up pretty good numbers at Arkansas last year. He was third on the team in tackles. He played really well against Texas in the Longhorns win in Fayetteville. He had 7 tackles and a sack in that one. Despite those stats, he was still one of the lowest rated players that Texas brought in, at least according to the portal rankings. And also, on top of that, Spence had surgery early in the offseason, so he was limited in spring ball. And he's also switching positions, going from more of a middle of the field linebacker to an edge in this defense. And usually it takes time for guys to make a move like that and have success. For Brad Spence, it doesn't sound like it's taken much time at all. I mean, new school, new scheme, new position, coming off of surgery, like all of those things should make you hesitant to expect big things from a player. Well, Brad Spence is doing everything right to this point. He had a strong performance in Saturday's scrimmage, and that's just a continuation to what's been a very strong start to fall camp. Last week, some of the players were made available to the local press, and Leonga Lafau, one of the best players on this Texas defense, called Brad Spence, quote, a very physical and violent player. He also added that he's exciting to watch. And Brad Spence fills a big role for this team. You know, Texas has a lot of depth at the jack position, which is the edge rusher on the opposite side of the defensive line. I mean, that's where Ethan Burke is. That's where Colton Vasek is. That's where Zena Umeozulu is. Lance Jackson and Justice Terry, the two five-star freshmen, they've been getting a lot of run on that side of the defensive line. You've got Colin Simmons at this spot, but outside of him, you know, the depth is a little bit less appealing there, especially considering the fact that Trey Moore has moved back to linebacker. So that's where Brad Spence comes in, and that's where, you know, his health and his presence and everything that he's bringing to the table. Right now, it kind of feels undervalued by Longhorn fans, but he's a guy that we keep hearing about in fall camp. 19 days from the season, I think we're going to hear his name a lot more leading up to week 1 against Ohio State, and I think we're going to see Brad Spence on the field a lot in that week 1 matchup in Columbus. He's going to play a good amount. I think 25, 30 snaps. I mean, Colin Simmons is obviously your starter there. He's one of the best players in the country, but I think something that makes Colin Simmons so great is that, you know, you can rotate him in and out. Like, you want to maximize his potential. If he's playing every single down, well, he's not going to be as effective later in games. You need to have some depth at his spots. You can rotate him in and out to keep him fresh for those big moments later in the game. Brad Spence is that guy. And there's not going to be some huge drop-off either when Spence is on the field. So I think you're going to notice this guy a lot in a good way. Pay attention to Brad Spence. All right, before we get to number 3, a quick shout-out to today's sponsor. That is Audio Visual Consultations. Again, we are 19 days away from kickoff of the Texas football season. Heck, week 0 of college football is 1 week from Saturday. Need to make the call to AV Consultations to get the home TV setup of your dreams done right now. That's right. You're running out of time to make it happen. Get it done before kickoff so you don't have to spend all of your time and money driving around Central Texas to find a place to watch. Make your home the place to be for friends, for family, for yourself with the experts at AV Consultations. They've been hooking up Central Texas since 1988. See these 2 TVs behind me? Done by AV Consultations. They're the best in the business. All you have to do is give them a call, and they will take care of everything else. That's 512-255-8678. Again, 512-255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. All right, number 3, last but not least, the youngin' ready for a breakout season. That is linebacker Ty Anthony Smith, the second-year linebacker who at one point was committed to Texas A&M. Texas flipped him late, and thank the Lord they did, because he can play. And also, he was the only linebacker signee for the Horns in that 2024 class. Ty Anthony Smith played in all 16 games as a true freshman in 2024. Now, a lot of that was on special teams, but he did log a good number of snaps on defense, too. Not easy for a true freshman to do on a roster as good as what Texas had last season. And you look at the linebacker room specifically, Anthony Hill, Leonga Lafau, David Benda, Mo Blackwell. I mean, Ty Anthony Smith was looking up at a number of bodies on the depth chart, yet he played a lot because he forced his way onto the field. He had 16 tackles, an interception in the Florida game, played against OU, played against A&M on the road, even had a tackle in the first-round playoff game against Clemson. So big games, big spots. He was out there at times in year 1. So the coaches trusted him last year. Now, this year, he's a part of what I think is the best linebacker room in the country. With Anthony Hill and Leonga Lafau back, now Trey Moore is playing there too. You would think, yeah, it's going to be tough for Ty Anthony Smith to get time. And look, if he wasn't good, he would be sitting on the bench behind all of those studs. That's not the case. Ty Anthony Smith was out there for the first defensive drive of the scrimmage on Saturday. And on 3rd and long, the very first 3rd down of the scrimmage, you know who had a sack? Anthony Smith. That's right. He got to Arch Manning and ended that first drive for the Texas offense. Big spot, big play. I know it's a scrimmage, but it means something that he was out there with the ones on defense and out there for the first 3rd down of the game. Don't sleep on Anthony Smith. More of an off-ball linebacker by trade, but a guy who might be coming off the edge at times this year too. Steve Sarkisian has been really high on this guy for a while, praising his game, his work ethic, his development. Right before camp started a couple of weeks ago, Coach Sark called him a budding star. Last week, Leon Galafau said, I'm thankful for Ty because he pushes us every single day. He brings the right energy. He brings the right juice. Every time he makes a play, he plays physical. He's very violent. High marks from the head coach, high marks from a veteran teammate in that linebacker room. Anthony Smith was only a 3-star coming out of high school, but he can play. And you look at some of the other recent 3-stars in the Steve Sarkisian era that the Horns have turned into really good players. Devondre Sweat, Gunnar Helm, Trey Wisner, Ethan Burke, Cam Williams. Don't sleep on those 3-stars, man. Anthony Smith, not the most talked about recruit that Texas signed a couple of years ago, but made some things happen in year 1, and I think he's poised for a breakout in year 2. All right, that'll do it for this video. If you made it this far, number 1, thank you. Number 2, please remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment. It really helps us grow right here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Shout out again to today's video sponsor. That's AV Consultations. And shout out to you for tuning in. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, see y'all soon. Hook 'em horns.